Now let's speak about a dickhead. Hey, another 1980s news as reported on N-World. Now look, I guarantee you, right? There's maybe people listening to this that are fans of Elon Musk or whatever. I don't care. Then fine. If you're so sensitive you can't handle the fact that I don't like him, go away. That's cool. Whatever. The guy's an asshole. You've been conned into thinking he's a genius. He's not. He has a lot of money. Right? It seems like oftentimes in the world, you have a lot of money. We think, well, then they must be smart or something that accomplished something. No. Sometimes they are born into a family that has a lot of money. That's all. That's all they did. And that's Elon Musk. All right. Anyway, here we go.
Okay.
You're like, I'm not stepping in this. Will, you get the emails. All right.
I don't even have an email.
Okay, there you go.
It's really easy. You're going to get them all.
Email? Elon Musk calls for Wizards of the Coast to, quote, burn in hell. You're going to burn in hell. Can't help but hear that. Elon Musk, the owner of the formerly financially successful app, once known as Twitter, is calling on Wizards of the Coast and its parent company Hasbro to burn in hell for the publication of The Making of Original Dungeons and Dragons 1970 through 1977, a brand new book that looks at the history of this, worldwide phenomenon, a game that is more popular now than it's ever been, it seems.
Now, I'm eager to hear how you set this up because I read the article and I couldn't find what he was so perturbed about. So I'm ready for your deconstruction.
Yes, and I went digging for the actual excerpts that he supposed. Quite honestly, I don't think he knows.
Oh, good.
I don't think he read the excerpts, and I don't think the guy who wrote these. Well, let me tell you what happened. All right, so on November 21st. Former gaming executive turned culture warrior Mark Hearn posted several passages from the book on social media, criticizing the book for providing context about some of the misogyny and cultural insensitivity found in early rulebooks. These passages were pulled from the foreword written by John Peterson, one of the foremost historians about Dungeons & Dragons, and who also collaborated with Wizards of the Coast on the book. Hearn stated that these passages, along with the release of the new 2024 Player's Handbook and Dungeons Master Guide, which we talked about several episodes ago, that they both, quote, erased and slandered, end quote, Gary Gygax and other creators of the game. In response, Musk wrote, quote, nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to trash Gary Gygax and the geniuses who created Dungeons & Dragons. What the fuck is wrong with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast? May they burn in hell, end quote. I don't know if Musk played Dungeons and Dragons in his youth. I'm assuming that he did. But it's unclear when the last time he played it was, because this is something, first of all, updating the game is something that's been going on since the invention of the game. I suppose if you stop playing it after the first edition, then you maybe wouldn't know that, and that's possible. So I couldn't find the particular passages from John Peterson's foreword that this Mark Hearn was criticizing, but just even taking it at his literal, I guess we have, just take him at his word. He's suggesting that what Peterson wrote, and again, that these new books that came out, the new rule books, erased and slandered Gary Gygax. Now, everything I've read about this book that came out is, first of all, it's just literally documentation, countless correspondence, letters, notes from Gygax and Dave Arneson, who's partner in this, including early copies of the rule sets, as early and including Dragon magazines, all these different. They just collected all the real things and put them in a book. Now, what they did though is so far. I don't know what he means by erasure. Literally, everything he did is in there. The new rule books that came out coming out this fall, I think they come out in November. They credit Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson for creating it. So again, there's no erasure happening. And slandering, all the book did was give context to the rules as they existed back then, or, the different things. Because like everything else in our culture, shit evolves. In theory, it evolves to a more advanced, sophisticated, knowledgeable, inclusive, sensitive culture. Not America, though. No, fuck that. We're not going to do that. We refuse to get better. That's what this is part of. Did that help explain any of what they're...
No. Here's, and look, I reserve the right to amend my opinion if I get more information. Like the scientific method. Right. Okay. Await more information and be ready to change your mind.
Science. Yeah.
Not popular, but accurate. Oh, The thing that most bothers me so far about this article is the dogmatic hyperbole that this person is above criticism and reproach. That is a dangerous approach. Look, I even think you should criticize Betty White just because no one should be above critique. So when I hear something like, hey, don't nobody talk shit about Gary Gygax, that's sacred. Well, what if it's deserving of critical analysis and observation? No one's looking to slander, or I think, whatever it's, no one's looking to slander Gary Gygax's legacy, only pointing out, look, he created this in the early versions. It had this in it. Fact. So to say that someone is on a pedestal and is above criticism, it's just dangerous. And not surprising
from a guy who claims that he's for free speech, and then on his platform, if you say something bad about him, he blocks you or kicks you off of it. So free asterisk,
free-ish.
And here's what happened. According to Wizards of the Coast, the making of book was created with the help of inclusivity consultants. Now, Elon Musk and his ilk, they don't like this concept of inclusivity. They don't like the idea of quote unquote, being politically correct, which basically just means considering someone else's feelings about something before you say something dumb. That's all what politically correct is. Right? He don't like any of that. Anyway, in a press event from May 15th, senior game designer Jason Tondro says these consultants helped identify, quote, language we would not use today in gaming, end quote. But the tabletop RPG publisher has not attempted to erase D&D's less than savory history. Quote, we couldn't change it because it's history. So we included this material while calling it out and placing it in its historical context, end quote. So that's all they did. And some of it is like, sexist, misogynistic, racist. And they said, all right, well, just understand why they did it this way at the time. Look, if you think that is slandering somebody by pointing out, well, look, they said this because in the social context or at the time, et cetera, was political, then you inherently, I think, know what they did is bad or feel it's bad because you're turning that into them being criticized or slandered, right?
If by pointing it out, you consider that to be slander, then you yourself perceive the thing being pointed out to be bad. Is that what you're saying? Did I understand that right? Yeah.
Hopefully that elucidated my point. I don't know.
No, I understand. That makes sense to me.
That's right. Look, I'm doing this for you anyway, John. You know that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I'd be doing it for Kat if she was here too. You'll recall, though, in 2020, the Wizards of the Coast already began making some changes in response to ongoing protests over racism and police violence. This included editing some past racist descriptions, as well as adding more diverse writers to their staff. The games designers were also made fundamental changes to the way certain playable characters are portrayed. Now, look, I play Dungeons and Dragons to the day. I still play it. So, and you know this, John, because you've played too. Well, it's generally up to you how you create your character and whether they're going to be good. Alignments are in there. You choose your race, your class, your alignment, all these things when you're creating your person. In spite of that, though, historically in these books, certain types of characters, races of characters, are considered monstrous or brutish, like orcs. You meet an orc, they're probably bad. They've always been bad.
Yep.
So some of that was seen as racist. And in particular, drow characters, which are dark elves that live underground, they had dark skin and they were inherently evil. And so they said, people were complaining like, you just create a race of people that's evil. You're kind of reinforcing in our world, maybe that this is even something that could be possible. And it's not, that a whole group of people are just evil by their being a particular race. So can you consider maybe not make, so they changed, they softened it. They made their skin kind of purplish and they said, you know what? You're right. You can meet a good one or a bad one, just like anything else. And it's true of all of these characters. That's the kind of changes they were making.
And here's the thing about Dungeons and Dragons.
It's fake?
Make the game. You make the game. If in your campaign you want this race of whatever orcs or dark elves or whatever to all be evil, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. You could do that if you want to.
It's true too. Yep.
And it's in the world of remakes, and we don't want the live action Moana. We don't want this. You know what? The other one's still there. Creation of an updated version does not eliminate the existence. Well, unless you're George Lucas, does not eliminate the existence of the previous versions. You can still enjoy those for what they are and ignore the part that you don't like. It's that when people get offended at the existence of something, you can't. How do you defend that? You can't defend that.
Yeah. And also in 2021, I'm reminded that the son of Gary Gygax, Ernie Gygax Jr., who was actually on our show in 2019 or 2020, he made no, I don't want any of that for this guy, because in 2021 he made racist remarks about Native Americans and blasted Wizards of the Coast for addressing the racism in some of these rules, etc. that I'm saying to you.
Interesting.
And said that they were, quote, it's a call to, quote, join the pack of lemmings, end quote. At this time in 2021, he suggested that his company was comfortable supporting writers and artists with anti-trans views.
I wonder if that's the thread he's picking up on. I wonder if he said, well, if Gary's son didn't like what they're doing, then I need to not like it too, or either, or
no. This is consistent with Elon's character.
I'm not sure there's a good rationale for it. It might just be, muckraking.
He's an awful person. That's what it is. Yeah.
I've never met the man. I have seen him do questionable and awful things. So.
That's fine. I don't have to meet him. You can sue me. No one's going to sue me.
Okay.
Marcus says, could it be that Elon is just a squirty, whiny bitch? And that's all there is to it. Yes, Marcus, I agree.
Quite possible.
Just trying to nail down how his particular plot in the spectrum sees things is silly. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just using this as a jumping off point to point out the things I like about how our society, how it evolves. It becomes more, just, civilized, and that there's these people in positions of power, mostly because they have money, that can make dumb comments like that and try to drag us back into the quote unquote dark ages. Not quote unquote, literal dark age. All right, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm with you.